Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. It is season 4, episode 59, I believe, Mike.
Yeah.
It is. And I almost had a heart palpitation and a heart attack there because with 20 seconds to go, my computer froze.
Hey, it's not the first time I've had to fly solo, so don't worry.
But I wouldn't mind. I only got this computer brand new before Christmas. So,
yeah, for it to freeze at this point, yeah, we need to maybe take slow the RAM down on your computer a bit and start taking some stuff off this stream.
Literally, I'll be walking back. I'll be bringing this back to fucking where I got it from. I got the ears protection, but it's Tuesday night, and it's great to see we already have comments in. DJ Dog telling us it is tag day. The Commanders are in trade talks for Lamar Jackson.
That's correct.
Joe is, as always, Joe is tuned in Italy, and he is sharing our video. Just before we came on air, the news broke that the New York Giants have re-signed Daniel Jones to a 4-year, $40 million average per year contract and will be tagging Saquon Barkley. Cowboys have put the franchise tag on Tony Pollard.
Yeah, which was expected.
It has been a newsworthy couple of days, but I mean, it's always going to be, especially around the tag deadline, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, like, we knew that was coming. Like, you know, I know we speculated different ideas about what they would do with the tag, because they were like, oh, we're not going to use it. You might be surprised. And it was, again, where it just goes to prove we're in the smoke and mirror phase of the off season, where it's all lies. Don't listen to anything, because we're all going, only Tony Pollard makes sense to tag. And they go, well, you'll be surprised. And then it's like, no, we weren't surprised.
Yeah. I have to say it's the least surprising news that we got in years. What are your thoughts on this, Mike? I mean, I think in Cowboys Nation, there's a bit of mixed feeling about this. Now, look, you're someone who's on record as saying this is a placeholder to get a longer term deal done.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, you know, it's been done before. Just because you tag a player now does not necessarily mean that that's it. That he's on this 1 year, you know, fully guaranteed money of over 10 mil, and that's it. It's like, it's not just because you tag them now does not mean that that's what they will play the season on. All it does is it stops Pollard walking out of the building and running up a cost. Right now, he cannot do anything. Strictly, he's under contract, so we can't go and talk to other teams. So all Dallas have done protect themselves for now until they can decide what they want to do.
Yeah,
because the big factor at the moment that's playing into the tag for Tony, and what this is doing is, because they've got till July the 14th. Yeah, that means now with the injury, they have time to get further down the line to look at the projection and go, okay, so this is where he's at. This is where he's going to be playing. Right, okay, here's our offer, take it or leave it.
Yeah. And we didn't get to have a chance to discuss this in depth, obviously, because like that we just got in a few minutes beforehand. But I suppose, look, there's kind of two questions, and Joe, I have your question marked. Yours is the next question I'm going to ask. But given that the Baltimore Ravens have used the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson, are you surprised the Cowboys didn't do similar?
Probably it's got to be the injury. The injury is what is just leading them to just land there and to stay in that zone.
Yeah, like for me, obviously, look, the Ravens are trying to get something for Jackson, and that's why they've put the non-exclusive tag on him. So they're what I think is a 2 first-rounders they could potentially get for him.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So I would have thought maybe that's something they might use.
It's got to be the injury that's holding them back.
Yeah.
Because who want to do that for an injured player?
Yeah. And look, the next question is, and look, Graham said this in our own group chat. Joe is saying it here. We've tagged an injured running back, and now we've got 26 million tied up in the running back room, the most in the NFL. And I said it to you off air, Mike. There's a possibility we also draft running back at 26 if he's there.
Could be, yeah. It's possible. And the issue with, so he is the problem. I mean, like, so the first thing with the running backs, first of all, is we got told, if you remember, Zeke's going to take a pay cut. He wants to redo his contract. We'll do it at the combine. Combine's come and gone. We're still nowhere closer to knowing what's happening with Zeke back a month ago when they said this, as we are post-combine. So we're still there. The issue is two things. So Tony's coming out injured. We're moving to West Coast offense. West Coast offense does not fit. I'm not saying that there's not a role in a West Coast offense for Zeke, but a West Coast offense does not fit him. There's a role for him. It's a very niche role in a West Coast offense. So going back to your point, those two factors mean running backs a need.
Yeah. Absolutely, it does. It all factors in. DJ Dog is posing the next question, I suppose, which, and again, this is all going to be hyperbole for the minute. Is, would you sign Pollard to a 3 or 4 year deal? How much per season? And I think you've already said it. It depends on the injury.
The injury is the first thing, but I would, because obviously the injury is not going to debilitate Tony. Like next year, you're going to see a difference in him for definite. Like with Michael Gallup, right?
Yeah.
The injuries like that, they might be healthy enough to play, but they're not back to what they were injury, you know?
Yeah.
It does take away from them for that year. But I would definitely pay Tony, because you think there's not much tread off those tires. When you think, like, really, even last season, the most snaps he's played in the season was only 50% of the offensive snaps.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a lot of tread off those tires. So that plays into a big factor. So I would give him a 3-year deal, and that sweet spot, I think, for Tony, if you're going to give him a 3-year deal, you'll be looking like 6, maybe 7 mil at a push.
Yeah.
Per year.
And I can understand the point you're making, and I agree with the assessment. I personally don't think his camp would accept that.
I know, for a multi-year deal, because you think about it, this is for the running back position now. Where Tony Pollard is, this is it. So this contract really is gonna, because he's going to get high-level usage after this. He's going to get run up. He's going to get used a lot. And then by that point, he's getting into his late 20s, where running backs generally at that age are on the decline.
Yeah.
So this really is his contract. And I think if he can get to stay in Dallas and they say, here's 6 mil on the table, he's per year. This is you now as a running back. You're a backup runner. You've worked your way in. We're fine. This is going to be it. I think he'll take it. Because what you won't want to do is move on, play on a bigger contract, and all that come back to falls on top of him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you're saying, and I suppose this feeds into my concern with Tony Pollard is he's not a 3-down back. In the same way as we say there's a niche role for Zeke in a West Coast offense where he's, your battering ram, your goal line guy. Tony Pollard is not going to fit into a 3-down system. So you're effectively going into a season with a niche guy, another kind of niche guy, and you don't really know what you're doing, and you're paying 26, 27 million for both of them. And, I suppose the frustrations is that everyone's, coming out of last week's conversations with Stephen is they're saying they can't afford to surround Dak with talent, but they're spending the most money in the NFL on running backs who are niche players.
Yeah. And I would pay very little attention to that entire conversation. I was just listening to the entire thing. I was just like, what is going on? It was a terrible interview, that.
Yeah, it was. But moving on anyway. Look, we'll move away from this for a little bit, and I suppose whilst I was going on about players who have been tagged, I forgot to include, of course, right tackle Terence Steele, who's been offered the it's the which tag is it, Mike?
I have no. You're relaying
Sorry,
news
they
to
put
me at
the
the moment.
second round tender on him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So effectively, they've put a second round tender on Terence Steele, so he's coming back. The second round tender, I think, is about 3 to 4 million to play on. So unless they get a second round draft pick for Terence Steele, he will be coming back next season. And I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just
Do you know what I do like, because they were talking about it in the group chat. Yeah, they were talking about the second round tender, and it does make total sense.
Yeah,
makes complete sense.
Like I think he's earned his money. Like I don't think he's let anybody down across the 2 and a bit seasons that he's played. So, good luck to him. If someone offers a second round pick for him, I'm happy to take it.
Exactly, and that was what I said in the group chat. I said, look, if somebody does end up going out there and saying, "Oh, we'll get a second round, we'll give you a second round for that," then you've just literally turned an undrafted free agent into a second round pick.
Yeah,
that's huge value.
Yeah, and I suppose if you want to kind of tease it out a little bit more, you also have a guy who can play right tackle for you next season in the building.
Yeah,
because we don't know what's going to happen with 77.
True. And you got Waletsko there that has pretty much spent the entire season
redshirt.
Redshirt, yeah, is a good way to describe it. Recovery and then getting better,
Yeah. So I think it's a good move from them. It makes sense. Just bringing up a couple of more comments here. Joe has channeled his inner. There's another member of the of our viewing community who would love this comment. I would have let Tony Pollard walk, restructure Zeke, and trade for Derrick Henry from Tennessee. I like where your head's at, Joe. I just don't think they would do something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the other one that Andrew has just put in, 160 million for Jones. Burrow and Herbert are going to be billionaires when they sign their deal. Joe Burrow has earned any deal he gets. Justin Herbert still has a lot to prove for me.
Yeah, this really now needs to be a year for him to step up.
Yeah,
for Herbert, you need to see something more now.
Yeah, it can't just be promise.
Yeah,
he really needs to grab that Chargers team and put them in the playoffs convincingly. Something like an 11-12 win season for me, for him to get the money and the praise that a lot of people want to give him. But look, as we say, Tuesday nights are about Project Prospect. We have done an offensive line round. We've done the cornerbacks last week. We're going to talk about everybody's favorite position tonight. Everybody likes a good old tight end.
And here's the thing, like I mentioned it before, like in the modern day NFL, the tight end position, sorry, I'm getting all the news about Daniel Jones. It's just flying in.
Yeah.
The tight end position in the modern day NFL right now is the like the forgotten man. So defenses now are needing to catch up. So what you need to do is you need to strike while the iron's hot, and you need to go get that tight end. Because it's no surprise. It is literally no surprise that this year the 2 Super Bowl teams just so happen to have some of the top tight ends in the league.
Yeah.
Look at the 49ers. They're in the NFC championship.
Okay. Yeah.
Another great tight end. It's just
Yeah.
it's no surprise that that's what you're looking at when it's there, because they're just like this movable piece that can break way.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to go get those tight ends in this NFL today. It's about getting the right guy. The issue is with tight ends, like even if you think of Kittle and Kelsey, they you have to give them time. There's not
Yeah.
many rookie tight ends that come in the league and just explode.
And speaking of that, Mike, we spoke privately, and I said we were going to tease this out a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
So you put out a very cryptic tweet over the weekend when speaking about they wanted to surround Dak with weapons, that that they were going to make moves. You were on the train. You were almost conductor of the train in 2021. You are now the conductor of the train to trade our first round pick in 2023. So do you want to talk about it?
Well, I mean, we spoke about it last week, but
yeah,
I mean, like it's fun. It's a fun conversation.
Yeah.
But the more sensible way to go, because the tight end position in this year's draft is so deep, the more sensible thing is to wait till, I mean, like a second round tight end is fine in this draft, but third will still work too.
Yeah.
They're gonna last till then. So, that is the more sensible way to go down. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go back to the conversation, I said to draft your first round pick for Kyle Pitts at Atlanta, but
yeah,
that would never happen.
Stranger things have happened, but you kind of alluded to it there in your comment about Kyle Pitts, and it is like this, and you mentioned, say, Kelsey, you mentioned Kittle. A lot of these guys are third, fourth, fifth round draft picks.
Exactly.
Cowboys have had great success with Dalton Schultz, who was fourth round pick. Blake Jarwin, before he got injured, was undrafted. Peyton Hendershot is undrafted. Jake Ferguson, a fourth round pick. The Cowboys know how to draft tight ends or get tight ends into the building.
Yeah. Jason Witten was a third round, wasn't he?
Jason Witten was, I think he was picked 69, wasn't he?
Yeah, something like that. So it is true. You don't need a first round tight end in order to get a decent tight end, but this draft is so, and there's different options available to you for the type of tight ends that are there. So wait until the third round and you can really take your pick from there. All depends really on it's a cop-out answer, really, is what I always say, but it's all on your draft sequence too, on the day.
Yeah.
On the days.
Yeah. Like, I know I said it last week, but it's as broad as says, it's what type of ice cream do you like and what kind of ice cream do you want?
That's true. That is true.
And to be fair to DJ Dog, he's thrown in the comments absolutely good here. So Darnell Washington is a monster. He absolutely is.
Yeah.
He likes Old Dominion tight end. God, I can't think of his first name. Zach. It's Zach Kuntz, is it? Yeah, it is. It's Zach Kuntz.
Yeah, Zach.
Who's a third round prospect, and he just says that the tight end class is insanely deep, and it is. Like, I mean, top to bottom. I mean, Mike, you're the draft guy amongst us. I mean, have you ever seen a tight end class this good?
Not as deep.
Stacked at the top.
Yeah.
Guys all the way down.
Like, we've been spoiled definitely in years past with like the tight ends at the top. Like there's always been like a nice selection of like good four guys. And it seems to be and you're just like, oh, nice. Yeah. Another nice, good collective. Then you get like the next tier who are all an obvious step down, and then the next group that are like an even more step down. But here it's more subtle. Those tiers are literally player by player.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and even you could go into the day three guys. There's still guys who would be a decent tight end 2 or 3 on your team.
Yeah. So, look, do we want to get into the first guy?
Go on, give me your first guy. Your first guy.
So my first guy, I've gone a little bit deeper into the draft. Like, look, there's the guys absolutely at the top of the draft. The first guy I'm going to talk about is the guy who's probably the lowest ranked of the guys we said we'd talk about. It is former defensive end from Alabama, Cameron Latu. Now, this is a guy with the size, with the technique, with the skills, with the football IQ to really transfer into the NFL. He's not going to be your Travis Kelce. He's not going to be your, as you say, George Kittle. He's going to be a guy who's going to do a solid job for you in 12 personnel.
Yeah, there you go. I'm glad you said that. Go on, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. Like, again, just kind of looking at it, again, versatility. The concerns for him are obviously, look, his athletic upside and speed are not great. He's not going to break away from anybody. He's not going to be a yak daddy, which most people want their tight ends to be. He doesn't have the ability to separate, and he's new to the position. So he's not going to have a full route tree, which feeds back into the fact that this guy is going to be drafted to play as a 12, 13-man personnel player.
Yeah, you definitely don't want this guy on blocking detail. Gets forklift, gets leveraged out every time. Plays two because he's a receiving tight end. He does have a prototypical size that you want from a tight end, which is why this makes this like a bit weird. And it's not his weight or anything like that that's the issue. It is that he has just like this weird technique and it keeps him upright. So that's what gets him leverage that position. There's also as well the other thing which I haven't heard anything about yet, because obviously we're only just coming out of the combine, but there is the knee injury he had as well. So it doesn't seem to be a concern, but it is still there. And also as a receiving tight end, he's no good on the deep pass either. He will not catch deep balls because he loses sight of the ball, and you can see him. There's a number of times where you see him, he's looking over the wrong shoulder for the ball, and you're like, oh God. And at times when there was no need for that. So obviously he's just getting flustered downfield. He'll get down there. He'll totally get down there, but when he gets down there, he won't catch the ball. He's short and intermediate, passing only. Like you say, 12-man personnel is an important thing. Yeah.
Like, would you consider him, say, as that guy who can? I'm not trying to jump ahead and be complimentary of him, but like that, the short 6-7 yard passes, just coming across the middle, breaking out of formation across the middle. Short dump off. Dak's not going to have that next season with Schultz out of the building.
No. And I mean, it worked for Blake Jarwin.
Yeah.
Blake Jarwin was down the middle on the seam route, disappearing on those intermediate routes. It works. I mean, the thing with Cameron, it's that he does lack acceleration and a little bit of speed too. There is an issue there. Yeah. So there is that. I don't like it, and like he's got this weird way of trying to separate, and I just like his style of separation. I have a feeling is just going to be frustrating to coaches. That's his biggest problem.
And like he's not going to be everyone's flavor of ice cream in this draft. There are teams who are not going to have him on their board. So like most people have him as a 5th, 6th round talent, but there's a potential he could drop out altogether.
He could. It's the knee injury really that is like where you taking him in day 3. That's where the knee injury risk assessment comes in.
Yeah. So Cameron Latu is a guy to watch towards the end of the draft. As you say, Saturday evening of the draft, start keeping an eye out. If we haven't drafted a tight end, we're going to draft one at one point during this draft. So that might be where they look.
Could be.
Well, Mike, I'm going to throw it over to you to give your first guy.
Yeah, well, I you can't go on any further talking without talking about Darnell Washington. I mean, like it was weird because in Georgia, it's one of the negatives going against him was his production at Georgia. And that's what makes it weird. But what is crazy, he's got a really big wingspan and he can catch the ball.
Yeah.
It just seemed to be that Georgia's plan was, nah, don't worry too much about that. Yeah. So the issue you've got is when you're trying to watch Darnell Washington, the receiver, you're struggling to find tape on it. Like you literally have to go back, go to PFF, go to his stats and find out games where he's making a number of catches and receptions.
Yeah.
And then go back and watch that game. That's really what you're going to do because the blocking's all the same. I mean, put it this way, while he was in college, it was like 80 pass blocks that they put him on. And on those attempts or whatever you want to call it, on those snaps where he was used as a pass blocker, 0 sacks, 0 pressures. Yeah. But he's so big and monstrous, no wonder. Yeah. And you know, the comparisons people have with him on Gronk is completely warranted. I mean, you go back and you look at the RAS scores.
Yeah,
they're practically the same. Like we're talking like hundredths of a millisecond here or like half an inch there. They are almost the same.
I'm loving this comment from DJ Dog. A&M and Longhorn agree on Washington.
Yeah, I mean, like he is good, and like what? But just as an example, then for people, because he's got this massive ring, he can catch the ball, and the Super Bowl, he makes that catch on the sideline, the spec catch, and instantly everybody's like, "Oh wow," and you're just like, "Ah, okay." Box ticked. So it is like when you think about it too, like, okay, if we've got Tyron Smith at left tackle, we've got Tyler Smith in left guard. Steele comes back. His projections to be ready for camp, so that means he's going to take it easy in camp. Then he's going to be post preseason as well. Take that into account. He could be ready for week 1. How effective he is at week 1, we don't know, but I reckon so. Then you've obviously got Zach Martin, who's Zach Martin, and then we definitely stick it with Biadish in the middle, But now all of a sudden you add Darnell Washington to that mix, like it just so people understand it. His tag, his Instagram tag is at the 6 lineman because that is what he is, and he is really good at catching the ball, as they've shown. His issue seems to be that he can play because he's not that fast.
Yeah,
he doesn't really worry about ever trying to break loose. So he doesn't care about it. So then he'll just play in traffic all the time. Yeah, and it's weird to watch. Because he doesn't look comfortable doing it, but it just seems to work. He will make contested catches, not to say that. He can high point the ball. Yeah. As you've seen in the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl is he's high pointing the ball there. So he can do it. And then when he's got the ball in his hands, he's hard to bring down. And plus he's got a really nasty stiff arm. Which he is good at using. So, I mean, like, to me, everything that you see on the negative side of Washington are just like minuscule in comparison to what the positives are. And you're just like, everything about this fits what we could do.
Yeah.
We already know Schultz isn't coming back.
Yeah.
I say we know. You
We
never
know.
know what's around the corner. But yeah, we've been told. But I mean,
So
yeah, like, go on.
I'm going to pose the question, and Rich posed this question over the weekend in our own group chat. You know, like I have the stats here. Darnell Washington, 2022 season, 28 receptions, 454 yards, 2 touchdowns. Given the size,
Yeah,
given the ability,
it's just the way Georgia.
Why?
Just
And
the
I
style
suppose,
of offense.
yeah, but I suppose the other factor is, who did he play opposite?
Like, you just look at everything the way as well. Like, when you look at, the quarterback play, they just, because of that whole style that they have. Stetson Bennett isn't that type of quarterback that will target tight ends generally anyway.
Yeah. I think DJ Dog wants to pick to beat Darnell Washington. I mean, he's in here nonstop, and I love the passion that you have for this guy, DJ Dog. It's great to see. He's even telling us that the number 0 is available on our roster, so why would we not get him in?
They're bringing the 0 back, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the point I was trying to make, Mike, more was Darnell Washington played opposite Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers has the potential in the 2024 draft to be draft pick number 1.
I think he will be.
Tight end.
Yeah.
So it's not a knock on Washington that his numbers were lower. Like, he rounded out every other part of his game. As you know, as DJ Dog said, in short yard offense, he'd be, be hellacious in there. He can block. He can, as you said, Mr. Sixth offensive lineman. He wants to do the dirty work. He doesn't want to. It's not that he doesn't want to, but he'll do the dirty work and make catches if needed. So I think there's a lot of upside with this guy.
Yeah, I like you say, it's the production issue. I mean, Brock is slightly different because he's just like that F type. So you do see him playing from the slot, but he's from the tight end, but he's playing from the slot a lot. I mean, there's another tight end we'll talk about who does that too. But I think with Washington, his style and usage in that offense is what makes everything look squiff for him on tape. But the talent and the skills are all there.
Yeah, 100%.
It is very true. Exactly what we were saying, Lil Mac. Yeah, saying the exact same thing. That we've had tight end classes in the past where they're stacked at the top, where you've got a nice good grouping at the top, and then the next group comes off quick. But this is just like, it's a nice slow progression of how the talent drops off as you move on. It is insane to watch. It's definitely it's one of the most talented groups in this year's draft. In a year when generally this draft is like gonna be a difficult draft for all 32 teams, because it's not like a super talented draft. Generally, do you know what I mean? Generally.
It has been my feeling all this year that I'm not getting as excited as I normally do about the draft. Trying to do the research for the draft this year has been a bit of a drag, because for us, we love offensive linemen, we love, wide receivers. There just doesn't seem to be the elite levels, but just because we don't think they are right now, 3 to 4 years down the line, it could be the best draft class in history. We just don't know.
You never know. Yeah, it's all about getting into the right scheme. I always say scheme is the most important thing for these draft prospects. They need to go to the right team first. Because some teams will just draft players and they'll try and create rather than elevate.
Yeah. And again, I'm just going to throw the final comment in here on Darnell Washington from DJ Dog. Washington would have an instant role in this team, and that's what I like about him.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
agree.
It's true.
Agree.
And you don't have to pay Schultz double-digit money to stay in the building.
Nope.
And because you know, if you move into this West Coast offense, Darnell Washington fits. He solves two problems for you in one go. He solves your receiver option, and helps in the blocking on short passing. Even if you wanted to put him on option routes, which I reckon he could actually do after seeing the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. So Little Mac has posed a question, and I'm going to pull it up. If Nolan Smith, Joey Porter Jr., and Darnell Washington are available, pick 26, who are you taking?
So Joey Porter has issues where he will end up, especially with the style of play he has, he could end up getting a lot of flags thrown against him. Darnell Washington and Nolan Smith is what it's up against.
Yeah.
Nolan Smith has big injury history. So it all depends on how comfortable you feel looking at his injury history and the risk assessment on that.
Yeah.
If the injury wasn't a factor, obviously it is, and that's why he's not like a top 5 pick. Yeah. But if the injury's not a factor, I'm taking Nolan Smith. If the injury is a big factor and they're like, then I'm sticking with Washington.
Yeah,
I would pick a fine, unproblematic in terms of injury Nolan Smith over Washington.
Yeah, 100%. That is what
I'm thinking. Imagine having that together with Micah Parsons. Nolan Smith is Micah Parsons. Yep. Imagine those two on the field together at the same time. Like that's just there you go, game over. May as well go home. Pack your bags right now. You're not doing anything on that against that defense.
Yeah. DJ Dog is just thrown in the comment there that he likes the two cornerbacks from South Carolina. And Ultra Cowboy, I think you're new to Tuesday nights anyway. Dalton Kincaid and Luke Musgrave are better than Washington. He's not a great pass catcher like Kincaid or Musgrave. London Wells did a lot of work with Kincaid.
Yeah, that's true. Kincaid is like, I love Washington for what he provides, but in terms of should we talk about Kincaid because he's one of the guys?
Yeah, I think he was one of your guys, wasn't he?
Yeah. Like what I like
one
with
of yours, Live Musgrave.
yeah. There we go.
So you're getting both, Ultra Cowboy.
Yeah. We'll work on both. So like I mean, with Kincaid, he is very scheme friendly. In terms of some of the other tight ends, they need the right. Kincaid is very universal in what he can provide for you.
Yeah.
And bear in mind, this is a guy, we're talking about all these great tight ends. It's super, super deep.
Yeah.
And Kincaid last year was first in receptions, second in yards, first in touchdowns amongst tight ends.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is really good. Like a lot of when you look at the problems with Kincaid is kind of like what we was talking about with Jake Ferguson coming out. He needs to get bigger. He needs to get down the gym. Needs to put on some bulk, and that's where you're trying to, again, like I say, not trying to elevate. You're just trying to elevate what you can do because as a blocker, he does lack, and he lacks more because of the strength, just the positive strength that he has. But everything else is super fine. I like all the pass catching techniques. There is a little bit on the deep passing where he will lose track of the ball, but generally that's not like a major bust where you could be like, oh no, that's it, I'm crossing off my list. Okay. And I agree. Kincaid is way better than Ferguson. I do agree. He is. They're similar in how as in a comparison of style of play, but Kincaid has more positives. So I like it. And you watch the pass catching and you go back to the combine, nothing is when he's catching the ball. Like I like to try and listen to the sound. What's the sound like when they catch the ball? And with Kincaid, it's silent. So yeah, it's soft. And like if you don't hear that crack of it coming off your hands, then that means he's understanding where the ball is and how he's going to catch it. And it's away from his frame. He doesn't need to make frame catches. So I like it. And in terms of what he can provide you on upside going forward, you know, it's like the floor and the ceiling with Kincaid are both really, really high.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as I say, look, the comments are flying in tonight, and we do seem to have a couple of new viewers with us tonight, or first-time commenters. So it's great to have all of you throwing those comments in. Keep them coming in. We will try and pull up as many of your comments or questions as they come in. And if we don't pull up your comments straight away, we might be trying to just keep it for later on in the show. But one of the questions here, just on Kincaid, I like this one from Ultra Cowboy. Is saying Darnell Washington will eat himself to being an offensive tackle. Okay. Sorry,
he's not that far off, mine. I mean, he's like 270 pounds, and you know, there's some guards that are coming in at that weight this year. So if he does need to eat, you don't need to eat much.
Yeah. So Ultra Cowboy again, and this was the comment I was trying to pull up. Trust the tape over the combine. Kincaid is Zach Ertz 2.0. Would you agree with that assessment?
So the comment I've made before about Zach Ertz with his blocking is falling over slowly. This is the best way to describe it. So that's what he does. Kincaid, maybe if you say like in most respects, in terms of how they block, are slightly different, because for some reason, however Zach Ertz managed to do it, he managed to make his style work. It shouldn't work because he was off balance a lot. So he was just always managing to keep his blocking in check, like this falling over slowly, what it looked like. With Kincaid, it's more of just a lack of strength. It is what it is. And it's a size thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that he's particularly underweight or tall. It's more of the mixture of the two.
Yeah. Like he is not going to be a guy that you're bringing into 12-man personnel to block. He's going to get blown up.
Yeah, you could keep him out there. He is a wide tight end.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of teams that would take Kincaid and he would be a tight end one coming in. Like, you know, he's still, again, like we say, rookie tight ends. Not all of them can just go for it. What was this, coach?
So he's just saying, watch Zach Ertz at Stanford. London Wells was the only offensive coach. Breadcrumbs for tight end at 26, potentially.
Yeah, true.
And a lot of the drafts and mocks that I'm seeing from Kuiper, from Jeremiah, from, you know, they're all putting tight ends with Dallas. I saw, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah had one out today, put Dalton Kincaid at Dallas. So
that would work. But I personally think that's a little high for Kincaid. But if it was the pick, I wouldn't be like, oh, what a disappointing pick. I'd be like, okay, great. That's what we're going for. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Tells you a lot about their plans.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, look, if you flip it into what's in the room, you have Peyton Hendershot, you have Jake Ferguson, you have guys who can block. And bringing in Kincaid would be a guy that's going to, you know, give you that ability to stretch things out, to get down the seam and win. But do we want to talk about Luke Musgrave, or is there anything else on on Kincaid.
No, go on, you go for it. Go for
Yeah.
your guy, mate. Enough of talking about
I'm
mine.
just literally just pulling up. Yeah, Dane Brugler and Todd McShay have Kincaid going to Dallas today as well. It was Todd McShay's mock draft I saw. DJ Dog is saying he understands Kincaid, Washington, or Mayer at 26. Think Mayer will be gone before 26.
Yeah, I find it funny that both of us overlooked Mayer. But we'll go back to tight end. We will come back and we'll round on tight end.
Back around. I think we both overlooked him because we don't expect him to be there at 26.
Is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, did he win the Mackey Award?
He did.
No, he didn't. No, I don't think he did. Hold on. Let me go on my sheet. Let me go on my sheet.
While you're doing that, I'll talk about Luke Musgrave. Okay. So again, Luke Musgrave, not great figures in terms of 11 receptions for 169 yards and 1 touchdown. For the hype that he's getting, and I think someone has already said it in the comments, you know, they prefer a different tight end. But again, for a guy who's going to come in, who can play as an inline blocker, who can play as a wide tight end for you as well, Musgrave has the athleticism. He tested well. He's explosive. So I think there's a very strong chance he will be in consideration at 26 if he's there.
26 is too rich for me because he's developmental in both parts, in blocking especially. Blocking, he needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
Catching, because, I mean, like, so here's my issue coming out of the gate straight away, right? Is that we talk about Darnell Washington having, and like he's considered, so Luke Musgrave is considered as a pass catching tight end. And last year he had 11 receptions and 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
That's from a pass catching tight end.
Yeah.
Now I know it's Oregon State. So there's a lot to say about the talent that was at that team. And I'm not, if there's Oregon State Beavers out there who are fans, I'm not having a go at your team. I'm just saying that the talent that was surrounded by him and what he was getting out of there is a problem. But the issue is because he's got such limited production, he has a limited number of starts too, getting on the field and doing much. They are so like development can be both a good thing and a bad thing, because in one respects he's got no bad habits, so there's a nice start. Okay, so you haven't picked any bad habits up because you have no, but also at the same time you've got nothing, so it's a blank slate. So it all depends on how coachable he is, which obviously, being where we're sat, we don't know what that is. We don't know what that's like. So that puts a big question mark on there. So that revert comes back, wheels all the way back around to the pick of 26. That's why I don't want to do it. I don't want question marks. Pick 26. I want to know what you are. I need you to be the guy who I need you to be to come in and do that. That I'm looking at that. There we go. There we are. That's what it is. But because he's developmental on both sides of it, in both parts of the game, now I can't do that at 26.
Yeah. The way I'll flip it to you, Mike, right? And look, you were the guy that talked me down on draft night last year. I said Tyler Smith was a 3rd-round talent. I'm still not uber convinced he's a 1st-round talent yet. So, is there possibilities that Musgrave could develop?
Yeah, exactly that. 100%
on this.
100%,
and that they might go for that.
So when we talked earlier about floors and ceilings, what it is with Musgrave is the floor is very, very low because we don't know. We're not sure. When you watch it, he leaves you more questions than answers. But because the ceiling it can be as high as you like because he could develop it into anything. Because because there's just they don't know. But the issue that we do see issues when he is there with separation. That is seen. Prototypical again in terms of size. You know that
Mm-hmm.
6'5", 6'6", 240, 250 is about right with tight end.
Yeah.
But he does it but that blended with the speed that he has and the get off and the acceleration. And a guy of that size shouldn't be able to do that, but he does.
Yeah.
And if you just want to throw a red flag in there, he got the leg injury as well. So there is a lower limb injury.
Yeah.
Risk assessment on that. So if I want to put it all together, he's a huge developmental upside type guy.
Yeah.
But that I don't want to risk on my first round pick.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. He's probably he could very well be a guy that is in like the top 5 tight ends in like 3 or 4 years' time with plenty of development and coaching. But he could also be a guy that is just like never really come to fruition and hovers around in one particular type of role of that tight end sort of grouping. And that's what he is. But because of that, I'm not willing to gamble my first round pick. I'm not willing to gamble 26 on that.
Yeah. And Ultra Cowboy and Little Mac are giving me my fill of it here in the comments on Tyler Smith. I'm not knocking Tyler Smith at all. I think he's played well. I think it's a little early to be christening him or saying he's the second coming of Tyron Smith.
I like him a lot. I like what he did.
I know you.
And I know we're not supposed to be talking Tyler Smith, but we're going to now because I'm with our guys. I'm sticking up for them.
Yeah.
And so that means I'm battling you, Bri. I'm battling you.
Yeah.
Tyler Smith wasn't just good in what he did. He did it at 2 positions. Not only did he do it at 2 positions, he did it in 2 positions literally on separate drives. He's playing guard at one point, and 4 snaps later, he's had to move to tackle because of an injury, because Jason Peters is gone.
Yeah.
Like, there's literally very few offensive linemen that could do that. Zach Martin, when they posed the question to him, Zach Martin, one of the greatest guards to have ever played, he will refuse to go and move to left guard, let alone right tackle.
Yeah. So just another comment in here. So Little Mac asked the question, who was the last tight end drafted by Dallas in the first round? Do you know, Mike?
I have a guess, but go on.
So 1997.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to. I have it here in front of me. 1997.
You cheated.
From LSU. Am I getting you warm yet? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Hit me with it, Bri. Go for it, baby. You have the honors. It
is David LaFleur.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is who the last tight end we drafted in the first round. We've only drafted 2, so it's Billy Joe Dupree, who I believe is in the Ring of Honor, and David LaFleur, who is not in the Ring of Honor. They might have made a film about him.
Brilliant. All right, so
changed his name to Peter.
Yeah. All right, so my last guy, because I wanted to go like a little out there on this last one, and then we'll talk about your last guy. But my last one, a little bit out there because he's an interesting guy to look at.
Oh, yes.
It's Tucker Kraft, right, from South Dakota State.
Yeah.
And this guy is really difficult to pin in on where he would work in the NFL. The only thing I will say is that you find the right role for him, and he's one of those guys. I could totally see him being one of these guys that like has games where he's fairly quiet, but then there's going to be games where he comes out and he's on like 40 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But these touchdowns aren't coming when he's in the red zone. They're going to be outside the red zone, and he's just blazing a trail and he's going down there. It's such So we said it before in the FCS, right? What you want to see is you want the good players that you're looking to draft. You want them to look like the over-competitive dad, beating out his kids in a game of football. So that's what you want to look at. They just need to be obviously standing out, which Tucker does. So straight away you just go, okay. So Kraft isn't fast. Like his top end speed, you wouldn't say is like, wow. Yeah. It's good enough. It's good enough. But what he does have is he's got just like this shiftiness to him, and it's a smooth accelerator when he goes, which makes it easier for quarterbacks to get to him. And it's such an awkward role in what you would have in the NFL, because he's a heavy guy. He's like 260 pounds.
260, yeah.
Yeah. So I like what I see. I do like what I see when you watch Tucker Kraft. It's more that like, what role would you play in the NFL? And I try and think about it. He's a starting tight end. I do think, right? I do think he's a starting tight end. I think he needs to be isolated, really, in order to succeed.
Yeah.
So a lot of if he's the single tight end with 3 wide receivers, so he can get himself a little bit isolated out there. If he's made to try and be anything more than that, and they get safety help on him, he's going to struggle.
Yeah.
There is obviously, like I say, people's issues with Tucker Kraft are going to be he's from the FCS, so he's still got that hurdle to pass over.
Yes.
A lot of his talents are still quite raw, so he's still going to have to learn. DJ Dog, like he says, is that what I was saying? Is run after catch.
Yeah.
It is good. So that's why I'm saying, like, he's that type of guy who's going to score like he's going to score 2 touchdowns in a game, but they'll be outside the red zone because he can yak. Is what's good. There is a level of versatility as well. So, like they said, H-back can work for him. It can work. So there is a level of versatility to move from the line into the backfield if you needed to with him.
Yeah.
And he's got the weight. He's got the weight to do it.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a comparison for him because it took me a while on Tucker to see who do I think he might be. Hunter Henry.
A little bit.
Yeah. He's a guy who in games suddenly, as you say, Mike, has 2 touchdowns and you're going, I didn't even realize he was playing today.
Yeah, he's not going to have like masses of yards, but he's going to be like, these 40, 50-yard game with 2 touchdowns, and you're just like, oh, okay. And it would be like on like 4 receptions.
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe even less. It's just, it's an interesting one to look at. Can catch the ball away from his frame. I can remember watching a few on that. You do see a lot of that. Blocking wise is totally fine too.
Yeah,
he's on the point of attack on the run in the running game. Yeah, and he's got good strength and aggression that goes with it, and he'll run through guys to make sure that he's clearing the hole. He won't give up on
it. So Lil Mac is just asking, can we give some 3rd and 4th round tight ends? We're going to get to one in a minute.
Like, where would you Tucker Kraft? I'd probably put Tucker Kraft in the 3rd round.
Yeah,
I'm putting Tucker Kraft in the 3rd round. I'm doing it right now.
Tucker Kraft is at high 3rd round, potential to get into the 2nd round.
No, I don't think no way. I think he's a 3rd round guy. Because you can't say never. You can't. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. You can't say never because there is a team that might look at it and go, "No, that's exactly what we need." So you never know. But yeah, I would say like in terms of like the tight ends that you've got, and you go through the list,
like
Tucker Kraft is like tight end number 6 or 7, which is crazy to say.
5 and 5.
There you go. That works too. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a nice spot to have him hover around in. So, you know, when you think when we said at the start how deep the tight end position is, there you go. Yeah, that's the third round guy. Like most people would say, really? You go, what? No way. That's a day 3 guy then. You're like, no, trust me, tight ends are so deep.
Yeah.
But that also can be the twist on it, because will teams go, tight end so deep we can wait?
Yeah. And then the flip side of it is, if a team really wants a tight end and needs a tight end, they might go early.
Yeah.
And
it's gonna happen.
I think he could flip. He could flip into the second round quite easily.
I think Meyer and Washington are like shoe in for the first round for definite. Kincaid is like close behind. Like if teams were like banking on a tight end and those two have gone, I mean, it's possible where they go like, let's go for it. Because we're not going to get him in the second round now. Yeah. It would be like Madden. Very true.
It would indeed, Brian. Again, just look. Lil Mac asked the question. He said a couple of third and fourth round tight ends. So the guy I'm going to talk about is potentially lower than that.
Yeah.
But you know, we might come back around to tight end because, as we say, it's so deep.
Yeah,
but
we will.
Sam Laporta is definitely a guy for everybody to go and watch. Again, we didn't get to him. Bretton Strange is another guy to go and watch. He's potentially a 4th round. Davis Allen, probably a 5th round pick, I'd say, Mike, is he?
He could be works around there. You're working like a mid-day 3 type guy.
Yeah. Noah Vandergriff, again, he's probably 5th round. I think DJ Dog or Joe already called out Zach Kuntz.
Yeah.
And Payne Durham, another guy. So
I like Payne Durham too.
Payne Durham he's a big guy.
Oh yeah. And what's funny is, like, I was watching the game earlier. What was I watching? I was watching John Michael Schmidt. Yes, my flag. Obviously for my draft report, because that's coming out this week, and it was against Purdue, and I'm watching throughout the game, and then I happened to get stuck on a bit on the series where the offense was on, and I was like, all right, need to watch Payne Durham a bit more. Flag, I tell you, it's annoying me. It's my kids. It's my kids.
It's all about to change. Don't you worry, Mike.
One day soon.
One day, very, very soon. But look, as we say, there's plenty of guys who are down the list that we could come back to. Like I've gotten down to nearly the bottom of the list, and you know, a guy from my own much beloved Longhorns, even though he didn't really play, is a guy who could slip into the late rounds. Jaleel Billingsley.
Yeah, he's okay, Jaleel. He's all right.
Huge attitude problems for him, and that's kind of why he didn't get much game time last year at the Longhorns. So, you know,
and he had an attitude too, because bear in mind he came from Alabama, he transferred from Alabama, and he left there with a bad attitude.
Yeah. So, and DJ Dog is saying he likes Payne Durham as well, and he likes Aidan O'Connell as a dark horse sleeper. I would have no problem with both of them being drafted, DJ Dog. Absolutely no problem at all. But the last guy that we're going to talk about, Mike, and this is a guy who is Marmite. He's your Marmite flavored ice cream.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
And I don't.
And you don't.
I really don't.
So myself and Mike are going to fall out about this. So, and look, if any of you follow Brian Broaddus on Twitter, a lot of people pick this guy. Broaddus approves of the pick. PFF rates it as an F-rated pick.
Yeah.
If you take this guy in the 4th round, F. If you take this guy in the 5th round, F.
Yep.
If you take this guy in the 6th round, F. So, without further ado, Luke Schoonmaker, tight end out of Michigan.
Yeah.
Monstrously big. 6'6", 250 pounds. 35 catches for 418 yards and 3 touchdowns last year. What I like about this guy, he can block. He's a seam threat. Coming from a school in Michigan, which I don't like.
Nope, neither do I.
But they produce a lot of good tight ends. We have one on our roster already in Sean McEwen.
Yeah.
We have another Big Ten tight end on our roster in Jake Ferguson. Mike McCarthy comes from Big Ten country in Pittsburgh. So I think there's a very, very, very big possibility. Again, if you get to the 5th or 6th round, you're still looking for a tight end. Schoonmaker is on the board. Why not go ahead and take him?
I mean, I just think that for like, so first of all, Michigan play a lot of variant tight ends.
Yeah.
So they all kind of have their own individual portion of what they do as a tight end in that group between them. The blocking, I agree with. Yeah, okay. It's not bad.
Yeah.
The issues are all to do with his catching. Like,
yes, 100%.
He can't run routes. He's raw there. When he does catch the ball, he's easy to bring down.
Yeah.
And he also drops a lot of passes. Like, people will go, oh, I mean, let me try and bring up his stats from last year. 35 receptions. Okay.
418 for 3 touchdowns.
For 3 touchdowns. But, like, it could have been a lot more. And so people go, look at that and go, yeah, it's not a lot. And you're like, you're not from a lack of, like, them trying to give him the ball. It's bad. And, like, I just think, like, you can't use him in the red zone. It's not going to work in the red zone for you.
Yeah.
So the only place really where you're going to utilize him is in midfield.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to be using him in midfield is as a blocking tight end on 12-man personnel.
Yeah.
And it just makes your offense too one-dimensional and too simplified for defenses to know what you're trying to do. You know that if it's coming from anywhere, it's coming from the opposite side.
Yeah.
The only thing I would do is if he's going to be your pure blocking tight end as a tight end 3, like we've done in the past, we've had that guy.
James Hanna.
Yeah. And you keep him there. And that's what you... But the only issue with that is, like, I'm not using a draft pick to get that guy. That's the trouble. That's why I don't like him. Is that I'm just like, I can get an undrafted free agent tight end that will do that for me. Or I can go into the free agent pool and I'll find a guy who will take that role on. Why am I wasting a draft pick on this?
Yeah. 100%. I would not disagree with anything you say. And when you say, look, we could take someone out of our usual bargain basement free agency shopping, I 100% agree with you that we could get a tight end for $1 million that'll come in and do that. I would consider flying out to Dallas and doing that myself if they take me on. But look, is there any other tight end that you think people should keep an eye out for? As we say, we might spring back round to this one.
The only other one that's kind of like, he is a tight end, but I would say more of a fullback is North Dakota State's Hunter Lupke. So, like, he is a pure fullback, but go in. He's a H-back basically. You're gonna use him as a fullback, going forward. but he does offer you. He is he's basically, especially on the West Coast offense, you're going to need a fullback for definite.
Yeah.
But what he could be is exactly what the San Francisco 49ers have with their fullback.
Yeah.
So he will provide you receiving options, but he's going to help you out in the run game. And like they're super effective in the run game. Don't forget the 49ers, no matter who they put back there.
Yeah.
For reasons like that. So that's, I know it's cheating because I'm saying a fullback's name here, but he's a fullback that will give you receiving options just like the 49ers have.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, I mean, when you're getting down to 6th and 7th round picks, those guys all have to have an ability to play special teams as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And that's something Luke Key can definitely do.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
So he's definitely a guy to maybe keep an eye on as well.
He's underrated. Like nobody's talking about it, and I'm just like looking at it, going, fit what Dallas. The only like we're still kind of in the dark about how much of a West Coast offense Mike McCarthy's playing. But if he's playing a traditional West Coast like he was doing in Green Bay, like that way, that's what I'm looking at. Then there we go. Take that fullback, like you say, in the 6th round. Perfect. Yeah,
definitely. So look, it's an hour. It's an hour and 15 minutes at this stage, Mike. So I'm going to throw it over to you to give a shout out for Thursday night and what you guys are going to be doing.
Yeah, just looking another draft show, looking at the news, going through the updates.
Yeah.
Look at Pollard a little bit more, look into that. And then just talk to all the lovely people out there. It's all about talking to lovely people.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
All these lovely people. And as we say, look, the new people in tonight and the interactions, as we say, and Mike will say this too, you guys are our
MVPs.
Hell yeah, boy.
Absolutely. So look, I'm just going to pull them up, Mike. So if you want to give a shout out,
Should we do it?
There we go. I have it.
There we are. Cowboys Experience. Go give them a message. Go say hello. Tell them we sent you. And if you're flying from the UK or Europe, then ask them about the UK Cowboys trip. It's all there ready to rock for you guys. So make an inquiry, make your booking, just tell them it's with us, and you will get a load of free stuff, baby.
Yeah. And as Rich Jones says, you might also get chocolate pudding.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want to follow along with all of these great people here, our fellow content creators, you have the likes of Skywalker Steel, you have Marcus and Brandon over at Cowboys Y'all, you have Voch, you have Big Game James, and of course, then you have all of the I was going to say professional media guys, but the guys who are working in media full time. So the likes of Jeff, the likes of KT, you know, the likes of RJ, Mike, Paul, who were working over Blogging the Boys and the Dallas Cowboys own media team.
Yeah, that's right. Lots of fun. So, stressful time this year, mind.
Yeah.
Like, it was obviously his first year doing it, and you're just like, whoa, this is coming in thick and fast.
Yeah, absolutely. So what time can everyone catch you on Thursday, Mike?
9 p.m. usual time, UK time, 3 p.m. Central.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a good night from him.
And a good night from him. Get out of here. Stay safe, guys.
Good night.